Assalamu alaikum. What is going on, everyone out in the interwebs? I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Today, I got a really interesting one. So, I've been talking to my brother. He's in the process right now of moving to a different city for the first time in his life, and being the trying to be the good brother, the good big brother that I am, kind of giving him some wisdom and some things to watch out for. And truth be told, is because he asked. It wasn't because I was trying to force it on him. That's one of the things that growing up I always hated was whenever elders used to just, you know, think or put their will on top of the youngsters. I think it's always should be at a asking. Whenever they ask, that's when it should be given. But anyways, that's a side topic. But my point being is that we were talking about him moving to a different city away from the family, and he was saying that he really feels that it's his opportunity to be able to uh, level up, man up, kind of evolve in himself and really get growth, even though it will be very uncomfortable for him. And that really got me thinking, and we had a long conversation about this in terms of when you move out to a different city, away from the family, especially, or even for adults, like, hey, maybe you have already been living away from your family for a long time. But when you move to a completely different city where nobody knows you, it's a totally new environment, totally new pad that you got going on, apartment or a house. The thing that it allows you to do is it allows you to have a once in a very rare, like it gives you a very rare opportunity. And that very rare opportunity is that it allows you to be able to reinvent yourself. It allows you to rebirth yourself. It allows you to be able to redo your entire identity. And the reason why this is so powerful is because at the end of the day, who you are and what your identity is and what you are clinging to right now as your identity is what creates your reality. Okay, and so this is a principle that I think a lot of people don't do justice in talking about, which is that whatever your external reality is all just a reflection of your internal reality in terms of who you are, in terms of the things that you tolerate, in terms of your standards. That is the life that you get. And the perfect example that I always give people for this is that everyone has something that's called a hygiene standard. So there are people out there that can actually go multiple days without showering and they feel completely fine. That is their hygiene standard. That is the standard by which they hold themselves accountable to, and they don't feel icky in any way, shape, or form. Versus there are other people out there that, like, for example, myself, for me, I have always had to take a shower every morning. That is my hygiene standard. I just feel like if I don't take a shower, I just feel like I still feel groggy. I still feel like I haven't really even started the day if I don't take a shower every single morning. There are people out there who have OCD, and their hygiene standard is that everything has to be clean every single second. Now, the reason I give you this example is that there are standards in life. And in life, you will always get what it is that you tolerate. And many people think that, oh, if I set a goal or if I set an expectation, I will be able to rise to that goal or to that expectation. But the truth is that you never, ever, ever, ever rise to your goals or your expectations. You always fall to the level of your standards, meaning the things that you will, at a bare minimum, tolerate. And so the same might be for your hygiene, the same might be for your nutrition, the same might be even for the way that people treat you. So in life, you always get what you tolerate, and your toleration, your tolerant standard is your tolerance is based on your standard. There we go. That's what it is. Your tolerance in life is based on the standards that you set. And so if you set a standard for, let's say, for example, people talking to you in a certain way, then people will talk to you in that certain way. But if you're like, hey, you know what? I need to have people be respectful to me. I need to have people say please and thank you. And then as a likewise, I will be, I will be respectful to them. Then that is the way that people will treat you. And the reason why this is so critical is because your standards are tied to your identity and who you are and your rituals and your routines and your habits and all of these kinds of things. And so as a result, if you really want to be able to change your life, if you really want to be able to have a different set of reality or a different dunya around you, you really need to work fundamentally on changing who you are and who you think you are. Another way to give you an example to kind of make this a little bit concrete, because I know this is a very abstract concept, but it is so, so, so critical, is in my health and wellness coaching business, which is one of the businesses that I run. One of the things that I've noticed time and time again is that we give the same plan, the same one-on-one coach, the same, execution to two different people, and one person is able to take that plan and absolutely crush it and change their entire life, versus the other person is stuck and they're not able to change their life. Why is that the case? The reason that is the case is because of the fact that one person was fundamentally, their mindset was different. The inner game as to what they were using to execute the plan, who they were, the organic mechanism, who they are as a person that was executing the plan was different. Because the plan was the same, the coach was the same, the variables were all the same. The only thing that was different was the person. And so the person and who they thought they were, and their identity and their standards and their mindset, all of that was the determining factor of what made them successful. And so the reason why this is so critical is because you can try over and over and over again to try and make yourself somebody who can achieve their dream. So let's say, for example, your dream is that you want to be able to wake up at 5 a.m. Your dream, let's say, for example, is to work out 5 days a week. Your dream, for example, is that you want to be able to eat healthy so that way you can lose the weight. Your dream, for example, is that you want to be able to read Quran every single day so you can have a better relationship with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your dream, for example, is that you want to wake up for Fajr, right? You have all these ambitions and you have all these dreams. And if you are trying to go ahead and achieve these dreams as the person you are right now, you will forever, ever, ever, ever fail. Let me explain what that means. So let's say, for example, that I am always trying to force myself to eat healthy because I want to lose weight. The easier thing for you to do is to change yourself at the identity level. And if you start to identify as somebody who eats healthy, then the action of eating healthy therefore becomes effortless. And so I think that many times people try and rely on willpower or motivation in order to achieve things because they're trying to push themselves to accomplish things. But the truth is that when you change yourself at the very identity level, you change yourself as to who you identify as, then everything becomes effortless. When you identify as somebody who just always prays their salah, when you identify as somebody who has a relationship with the Quran, right? It's effortless. You're just like, hey, I am somebody who has that. That's who I am. And therefore your standard changes. Your identity changes. And when things change at that level, then the doing and the action becomes effortless. And when the doing and the action becomes effortless, the having of the outcomes therefore becomes effortless. And so what I find is that many people try and either force an outcome, right, which is totally wrong. Then some people maybe are a little bit smarter and they realize, okay, you know what, I'm going to try to do the actions behind the outcome. And so therefore they try and force themselves to do the outcome. But the truth is that real change happens at the identity level, at the being level, at redefining who you are at a deep level. And being able to leave your environment is one tool in the tool belt. And this is one thing I was telling my brother. I told him that, hey, I want you to realize that even if you weren't able to move, that does not mean that it's a crippling factor that you cannot become somebody else. Yes, it might be difficult. It's more difficult because you have constructs in your life and routines, right? Like everybody around you in your parents' home is talking to you like your version 1.0 self of who you are, right? The routines and the habits are surrounded with your version 1.0 self. But then when you move to a different city and a different apartment or a different home, and you don't have anybody around you that really knows who you were in your previous life, you can literally reinvent yourself. You can have a new identity. And so therefore it gives you an opportunity to evolve and grow to become that other version of yourself that you want to become. And I want to leave off with this topic right here to really close this out, is that once you change your identity and you make it in line with what it is that you are trying to achieve, the things that you're trying to achieve become effortless. And I said this earlier, but let me give you another example to make this kind of strike home. I always tell people is that, let's say, for example, you wanted to make $1 million. Let's say that was your goal, right? One of the things that I learned earlier on in my entrepreneurial career was that you don't actually go out and make $1 million. You become a person that is worth $1 million, and then $1 million will come and find you. You might have to replay that because it's a little bit, when you first hear it, it's like, what does that even mean? But I want to be very, very clear here, is that you don't go out and make $1 million, you become a person of $1 million value, and then the money will automatically come and find you. This is a very important distinction because of the fact that you need to start to embody the habits, the routines, the ways of thinking, the behaviors, the beliefs of the kind of person that is going to be able to create your dream life effortlessly. And this is at the root and at the heart of the philosophy of Dunya mastery, which is mental programming. And basically being able to, at a very root level, change your identity so that way you can actually start to make progress on what it is that you want and what your goals are. And there is a lot of evidence to this even within the deen when we talk about dua, right? When we talk about asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what it is that you want, what you're doing in that sense is that you're actually reaffirming to yourself, hey, this is what I want. You're clearly defining what it is that you want. Now, I know that there is a tradition in many circles that they say, hey, you know what? You don't have to make dua because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows what it is that you want. And so, there's a hadith that, if let's say, for example, that the time of iftar comes, and let's say, for example, that you're reading Quran at that time. If you're so engulfed in reading Quran, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will already know what it is that is best for you, and that dua will have basically been made for you. Now, I understand that that is specific to certain contexts, but it's very evident that I'm quite shocked at how few people, even myself for many years, how few people and myself would clearly make dua for what it is that we wanted. And the truth and the power behind dua is that when you actually clearly put out there, not only dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also to yourself, you're affirming that, hey, this is what I want. You are clearly defining what it is that you want, so that way you can actually start making progress to what it is that you want. And then the second step comes in terms of defining your character and your identity to making yourself into somebody who can get that thing. And so I want to leave it off there because I don't want to go into too hypothetical or too abstract here, because I know that this is a topic that can definitely get abstract, and there's definitely more to say on this topic in terms of how do you actually identify what it is that you want? How do you actually break that down into a science? So definitely I'll pick up with that on some future episodes. Let me know if you guys have a way to contact me. Let me know if this is interesting for you guys, or if there's a way that I can further make this a little bit more concrete, because I really, 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 really do firmly believe that at the root of the science and philosophy of Dunya mastery is this concept of mental programming, and basically identifying who it is that you are, who it is that you are becoming, so you can have some forward momentum in terms of your life. So inshallah, I will talk to you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.